Rugby World Cup Pool B action this weekend, folks. South Africa taking on Tonga. South Africa coming on the back of that big old match up against the Irish last week, which was a real proper clash of the Titans. And Tonga have been a little bit underwhelming in their first two games. Pretty handily beaten by Scotland and Ireland thus far. Doesn't get any easier for them with the South Africans on the cards, but they'll be certainly looking to show us something a little bit more. We're going to go through some squads, some stats, predictions, recent history if it's recent, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. And big old game. Similar position to what New Zealand was in, having dropped a game. South Africa have dropped a game. They're against the team which they've never lost to, who's well below them in the world rankings, but has got enough talent in that squad that you think, man, can these guys lift their game? In all likelihood, and the predictions back this up, it's going to be a big old scoreline for this one, but hey, we will see what happens when the teams actually take the field. The recent history is not really recent. 2007 was a little bit of a scare for the Springboks. It was a 30 points to 25 result at that World Cup. I seem to remember they changed a bunch of the lineup, and Tonga hadn't been that good, but that was like their best game of the World Cup. And back in 1997, it was 74 points to 10. So just the two matches between these sides. So it is a third meeting, which is kind of historic because it's the first time in over 20 years that these teams have played. So there's always something a little bit kind of special about that. The Boks have made a number of changes from the team that played Ireland, and the one at 10 is going to be particularly interesting because we see the return of Handre Pollard. But we'll start with the forwards. Nche, Deon, Fourie and Vincent Koch. That is your front row. So Deon getting the start at hooker is a little bit of news. He's not been a regular hooker for many years, but he's been filling in on the bench in the absence of Malcolm Marx, and it'll certainly do him well to get in a bit of game time, do a bit of throwing at lineouts in actual game time situations. So we'll see how he goes. And then Vincent Koch finally recovered from that niggle that kept him out earlier, so he's in at tight head. Eben Etzebeth is one of the few guys to continue on in the squad at number 4 alongside Marvin Orie, who comes in alongside him. So they'll be looking to dominate at line-out time because it's an area which South Africa has traditionally been pretty strong, and their numbers in that area are pretty good. Kolisi is another one who continues on. He captains the side from 6. Duane Vermeulen is in an unfamiliar 7 position alongside Jasper. Wiese at 8. So Vermeulen and Wiese in the same back row. I don't think we've ever seen that before, but it'll be an interesting combination between the guys. I'll be looking to see who catches the kickoffs. And Reinach and Pollard is your 9-10 combo. So that's something a bit new. Reinach up from the bench, where he was the one back replacement last time, and Pollard hasn't played for ages. The coach was kind of even talking him down, like he hasn't played for ages. He hasn't played any rugby for ages. He hasn't played with the Springboks for ages, as if to set expectations really low. But I guess we'll see how he's able to back up. Obviously, it's the goal kicking that's going to come under the massive spotlight after there has been issues in that area. But I'll be more curious just to see how he goes around the park, how he gets in click with the likes of Reinach and Esterhuizen and whatnot, because he, like Coach Ninaba says, has not been with the squad for a long time. Esterhuizen and Moodie is a very exciting midfield. I would like to see Esterhuizen trying to bust some big old tackles, and Moodie's got seemingly just a really good knack for the game, really good mind for a young player, and he's got the speed to back that up too. And then Grant Williams and Makazole and Mapimpi are on your wings. Grant Williams usually a scrum half by trade, but he's getting some time out on the wing, and he looked all right last time he played wing against Romania, so a bit more of a challenge up against Tonga, though, you would think. And then Willie is back into the side at 15. He can probably help pull the strings a little bit from the back with Pollard, who he'll be very familiar with. Van Staden is your backup hooker, which is something certainly a bit left field, but they said he's been training at hooker for a while, so he's going to get some proper game time in that area. Kitshoff and Nche are your prop replacement, so there's still a lot of good propping beef in this South African squad. Mostert and Kwaka Smith are your other 2 forward replacements, and they've actually got 3 backs this week with Jaden Hendricks, Jesse Creel, and Mani Libok rounding out the rest of the side. Some of the guys who are your key guys of this World Cup campaign for South Africa are not playing. Who are your top carriers? Like Damian Willems is not playing. Who's your top clean break guy? Colby not playing. Aronza not playing. Who's your top tackler? Mostert and Peter Steff not playing. So, it's a chance for some of the guys who maybe haven't had the same minutes to make a bit of an impact with Tonga up ahead. Speaking of Tonga, they've kept things a lot more stable than the Boks have. They've gone with Fisi'ihoi, Ungamo, and Tamiafuna in the front row. Scrum time was actually all right in that game against Scotland. They got a big old pack, but it was more the line out which struggled. So that's an area that the hooker and the locks will have to get right, man. I mean, Lever Fifita and Sam Losi are bloody good players. And they got some loose forwards who can jump at line-out time too. They had Via Fifita, who's been red-carded, so he's suspended and unavailable. But they've got the resources to get the line-out right. But, geez, it was bad in the last couple of games. Halafanua, Talitui, and Paia are your back rowers. So Paia comes in up from the bench to replace Fifita, who is suspended for this one. Talitui at number 7 is the top tackler for this Tongan side by a mile. He's had 37 tackles. The next best Tongan tackler has 25. Missed tackle count has tended to be a little bit high. Pulu and Havili continue on at 9 and 10. Peter Aki and Malakai Fikitoa at 12 and 13. Maybe for mine, those guys have been the biggest kind of disappointment because they have been missing a lot of tackles. Those are both bloody good players. The changes on the wings, though, Inisi comes in on the right, Tutavuki on the left, and then Salesi Piatau, a.k.a. Charles Piatau, in at 15. He's been good, but kind of a bit individual. Like, he's had the most carries of all the Tongan guys. He's been running up from the back, but, yeah, it's felt a little bit individual rather than kind of team planned. Bench-wise, Mole, Kolomatangi and Apakatoa continue on. Coleman and Vailanu there as well. 3 backs on the bench for this one, so it's also a 5-3 spread. Takalua, Pellegrini, and Talmuipiao drops to the bench. So, yeah, man, they need to get better. There's a big-name guys in this squad. I know they got the Boks. It's a big ask, but, geez, they really, really need to be better. Stats-wise for these teams, South Africa's been averaging 6 clean breaks a game, which is pretty good. They got some good game breakers, but like I mentioned, Colby's been one of those top guys in that area. He's not playing. And they've been averaging 20-plus kicks from hand a game. But then, interestingly, against Ireland, they didn't kick it that much. So you feel like South Africa still got a little bit something up their sleeves because there was a distinct game plan to kick less against Ireland, which is uncharacteristic. And I mentioned the goal kicking, 58% this year. Needs to be better. It just needs to be better. But the run meters per carry continues to impress. Like 4 is your general marker for a good number to be above. Like 6.7 meters a carry against Romania, but they mopped the floor with them. 5.8 against Scotland, who are traditionally a really good defending team, and even 4.3 against Ireland. Even the game they lost, they were still able to get that good go-forward ball. So that is going to be troubling for Tonga, who have struggled on defence. Their tackling percentage against Scotland was 76. And Ireland was 82. Like, you want to be 85, 90. So to be in the low 80s or the high or mid 70s is just really poor. Line-out was 57% against Scotland, 44% against Ireland. You can't do that against South Africa. You need to secure your ball at set piece. They do have a heavier pack. So it'll be interesting to see them front up against what is usually a pretty big South African pack, who's usually bigger than their opposition. Luke Pearce is the ref for this one. It's on at Marseille. It's an evening kickoff. 9 o'clock at night, which is 8 a.m. here in New Zealand, so I will certainly be watching this one, although my kids will likely be knocking about. Hopefully they can sit down and watch with me, because it's school holidays here in NZ. Predictions-wise, South Africa by 41, according to the bookies, and 59, according to the Rugby Forecast algorithm, so not predicted to be a particularly close one, despite the changes to the South African squad. And despite the fact that Tonga's kept things pretty stable, they haven't impressed thus far. Here's a chance for them to show us what they're made of. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.